Last Epoch has been in early access for nearly 5 years and is seeing its big launch on February 21st, adding new masteries to the game, a brand new season to jump into, and plenty more. But what is this game all about? Is this just another action RPG drop in the bucket against the behemoths of Path of Exile and Diablo? Will you even be interested in a game like this? Well, in this video, I wanted to answer just that, as I think Last Epoch is poised to be the next big action RPG in the genre that will also help define the way that we look at a lot of older systems. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos so you can decide if it's the right one for you. So with that being said, it's a bit tricky to kind of upfront an entire list, but you can find each subject I'll be talking about using the chapters in the timeline in the description. So you can navigate to any part that interests you the most, but to sort of kind of paraphrase a lot of the points I'm going to bring up, this game is meant to be played by the casual gamer as well as the super sweaty min-maxer. You can make a totally viable build by looking at a few skills, choosing aspects such as, damage type, and running with it across the entire thing. It's such an accessible game, and the skill variety is just insane. For instance, you can get one skill that slams the ground with a hammer, stunning things. But then you can evolve that skill to throw the hammer, and then evolve it further to have those hammers float around you. Bam, you just made a Diablo 2 Hammerden. I just cherish this game and everything it's doing to make a game that benefits from the lessons learned by the giants of the genre, with a passionate dev team, tons of transparency on game systems, and a lot of player feedback. If you're in any way a fan of action RPGs, then Last Epoch will be one you'll absolutely love. That's essentially the too long didn't watch of this entire video. If that's all you wanted to know or nothing in this list interests you, then please feel free to shut the video down and get back to either enjoying the game or whatever else. But before you head out, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you found this video helpful, as that does help me out in a huge way. You can also find a link to my Twitch in the description, where I will be streaming this game, Baldur's Gate 3, and a ton more. Also, check out a whole bunch of new merch I have coming on the channel. It's like somewhere down here. I don't even know. It's like, I think it's at the bottom of the video. Let's get started here on Should You Play Last Epoch? So to start us off, we're actually going to talk about an endgame thing, and that is the Monolith system. Basically, the Monolith system is going to give you a bunch of randomly generated, repeatable dungeons that can then ultimately end in a boss that you can farm for specific drops. And once you finish the campaign, you'll progress through the first 3 monoliths. As you can see right here, I'm finishing up the last one, Fall of the Outcast, the Black Sun, and then Ending the Storm. And once you do that, you have all these other ones that I haven't even gone to that will that'll open up and give you more monoliths to jump into. And through these monoliths, through this system, I go ahead and click on this. And this looks like so convoluted. You're probably like, oh my God, that looks terrifying. Well, I'm almost at the end of this, and that's why it looks like this. You can see this little blue line. I started over here and we just started going out. And basically what this shows you is I can kind of set my own path and kind of determine what I want from my end game experience when I do these echoes. These echoes contribute towards this stability bar at the top. Once I've completed 1, 2, 3 stability bars, I go ahead and fight the boss of the monolith. But doing these little individual echoes here, if I hover over this, you can see on the far right, it says new enemy modifiers, player modifiers, and then rewards. So this is going to give me piles of gold. Or if I look at all the way down here, because this is where I'm kind of progressing. Over here, this gives me tomes of experience. Or this one, where's the one gives you uniques, which are, well, uniques if you played any other action art. This one here, haha. This one's going to echo reward as a set item, or it can be a unique. It can be a bunch of different things. So you can kind of custom build how you want to progress through this and how you want to do these echoes and these monoliths. Which is cool, right? Because the whole point of an action RPG is to just kill things in droves, and that's what you do in these echoes. But the fun thing is too, it's very bite-sized. Doing an individual echo is maybe 5 minutes, and you do a bunch of them over and over and over, and they're all randomly generated. They're different sets, right? Like this is going to be like snowy. This one over here is going to be lava, and that's also going to dictate the type of monsters that you deal with. So going through these is a really fun experience for your end game because it always feels fresh and new. And it ultimately culminates in fighting that monolith boss for this specific monolith, which is going to be Ending the Storm. It's a really fun system. And I think, again, by looking at it, it looks super, like if you were just to look at this portion, you're like, okay, that's not as scary. When you look at this, though, of course, this seems way scarier and more complicated. It's basically just a big choose your own adventure for an endgame dungeon, which is a really, really cool way to progress through the endgame to get a lot of really cool items that you custom build your progression towards, right? Like, hey, I actually need a lot of crafting materials. Well, I'm going to find the crafting materials one, this one. Or I need a lot of the passive bonuses a la runes from Diablo 2. Not runes, charms from Diablo 2. Oh, well, here you go. Idols, what they're called in this game. So there's a lot of really cool ways you can approach these systems, which is a really fun thing. And kind of, it's an underlying thread that you're going to find throughout this entire game. It's very much a choose your own adventure, play how you want. And it's really well encapsulated here in the end game. Now, another big system for Last Epoch is this forge system. When you first jump into the game, it's something that kind of feels very overwhelming because you're like, well, I don't know what the hell this all means. Prefixes and suffixes, those are things that we're used to from playing action RPGs like Diablo and the such, but you can really custom build something out. So let's go ahead and put this item right here. And this shows me that it has 2 slots already taken up in the prefixes and 2 slots empty in the suffixes. Every single item will have 2 prefixes and 2 suffixes. And then it has its implicit, or the benefits that come just default on the armor. They're right there at the top that say Primalist Body Armor, right below that armor and physical resistance. That's built into it. Then every single item has a forging potential on it as well. So that forging potential is going to allow me to custom build this out how I want. And I can go about this in a lot of different ways. I can simply choose the suffix that I specifically want from a list. I can type in, okay, my character focuses on minion damage. So I can do this and say, okay, I want to use any one of these if I can. I can't, unfortunately, because all these are prefixes, right? So I can't put them in the suffix slot. I can set the filters how I want. And I can say, you know what? Hey, we're just going to look at suffixes. Okay, I need cold resistance. Boom. And I can go ahead and add that in. And it says right here, it costs 1 to 18 forging potential with 18 forging potential remaining. So this is either going to be really good or really bad. And you can then modify adding in one of these shards using these really cool scrolls. So for example, here, the Glyph of Hope modifies the outcome of a craft, granting it a 25% chance to have no forging potential cost, which is huge, right? So if it doesn't cost you anything, then you can keep modifying your items. You can keep enhancing them or swapping things out. Or even further, you know what? I actually don't want to do this. So let's go ahead and clear this off. And I actually just want to improve this. Or you know what? I actually don't need attunement. Let me take that off. I'll use this Glyph of Chaos. Modifies the, randomly changes the upgraded affix to a different one that can spawn on that item type. So I do this. So we're going to upgrade it from tier 2 to tier 3. And we change it. Now it's damage reflected to attackers. So you have a lot of really cool ways you can go about this crafting system. And like I said, it is something that it's very convoluted to start because you're like, well, I don't really understand this. Maybe this is an end game thing. But you learn that, hey, you know what? I'm really going to need, you know, all these prefixes and suffix things, these little shards. You can actually use this little ability right here to destroy this and take these individual shards, shatter, and now it's just in my crafting stash. So using this forge capability, I've been able to build out a really cool, to not destroy that, a really cool weapon that aids me in helping out my minions, helping out the amount of damage I do, chance to poison things, whatever it is, it can lean into the direction of the weapon that I'm using. This is actually not the right weapon. I don't know. I think I sold the one I was using primarily. Either way, my point remains here that you use these weapons and you use this forging capability to lean into whatever build you're making to really supercharge it and do the thing that you wanted to do with the build you have in mind. Like I said, I'm focusing on minion damage so I can have minion or specific skills being enhanced through this forge system. Like I think these boots I did that with, right? Let's take a look. Nope, I did it with this though. So this, it's got levels of swipe and levels of summon frenzy totem, 2 skills that I use. So I can go ahead and kind of build this out to fit those things to have it all benefit me and my character. Now, what's an action RPG without skills? And skills and specialization are a big part of this game. You have all these skills that you get as part of your base class, and then you get sets of skills that are unlocked as part of your mastery. And these masteries are basically a specific emphasis, right? So for example, I'm a primalist or, druid, but my emphasis is on the Beastmaster, which gives me all these really cool summons over here: Bear, Scorpion, Frenzy, Sabertooth, and Raptor. But you can also get more skills by simply just investing in your actual passive trees. So as you kind of invest in these trees, you'll unlock more skills here at the bottom. Same thing over here, as I am a Beastmaster. So what's cool about this is, once you've done that, you've got these specializations at the top. Because you can swap into any one of these active skills at any time if you want to kind of get a feel for it. Hey, maybe a patch came out and you want to try it out, whatever it is, or you're new to the game, you want to see what that's like, go ahead and try it out, play with it. But once you specialize into something, you unlock a specific set of basically like a talent tree for that skill. And this is where the game really gets a lot of that really fun customization. You can build stuff out how you want that fits your character and the way you're trying to play. So take, for example, my Summon Wolf. I've kind of kitted my wolves out to do a ton of damage and kind of really augment the damage that I'm doing, while also kind of buffing me with their really cool howl. And I get more using this ability. But you know what? Let's say I'm trying to go with a build that focuses on a ton of lightning damage. Well, now I can use, let's just use this capability upper right corner right here. So search nodes. I'm going to type in lightning. I'm going to spell it right first too. So now I've got these 3 nodes right here that are highlighted. Okay, this is going to add lightning strike. This is going to do lightning damage increase per point. This is going to be melee lightning damage per point increase. So I can have this lean into the direction that I want to build out these characters. And that's what I really love about this game. You're looking at swipe 2. You know what? Let's take the same example and go lightning. Well, I have a whole portion of the tree that's dedicated to turning a swipe into a lightning based skill. And that's what I mean is you pretty much will choose a damage type, again, in this case, lightning, or maybe you want to have a crit, or maybe you want to work on bleeding, whatever the emphasis is, you're going to find it on all the skills of that specific character or their respective masteries. So you can lean in a lot of really fun directions, right? Let's do this one more time over on this character, or on this ability, Fury Leap. I've got more lightning abilities over here. So this level of customization is really cool because you can also do things that kind of morph these individual skills. And these little icons kind of denote what happens. When you see something like this, that is, what kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, a hexagon. Is that a hexagon? Whatever the parallelogram is, that's 6. Battle Bloom. When you land your cleanse, all ailments on you and your minions are cleansed. So this shows you now morph the ability. It has a different approach now. It does something different. Oh, Fury Leap's cooldown is reset when you kill an enemy with a short leap. Fury Leap's cooldown can be reset once every 5 seconds. Or over here, when you land with Fury Leap, you cast Upheaval. This consumes Upheaval's mana cost and requires positive mana. And this will use Upheaval as a skill. So you can start to level up Upheaval and actually have Fury Leap be the thing that triggers Upheaval. So this is what I mean, is that the game is very layered, and it's not just so simply one-dimensional that I've got a leap ability and the leap ability is always a leap ability. No, the leap ability can be however I want it to be. And in this case, it can be something as another form to trigger another skill. That's what I mean by being able to morph it. Pack Leader, your Wolf, Sabertooth, and Raptor companions leap with you now. So a lot of really cool, fun things are built into all of these really, really fun and diverse skills and specializations. A big subject I want to talk about is build variety and viability. This game was made in mind with the fact that you could super min-max it and have a very sweaty, ultimately overtuned character, or you can just simply say, hey, I'm going to look at the skill list and I'm going to choose this or that. And that's what I like about this here. You know, I can go with the mage and go with the sorcerer or the spellblade or the rune master and not feel like I'm picking a bad character. Are there ones that are a little funky right now and maybe not as optimized as the Rune Master, which is one of the most recent masteries? Yeah, absolutely. The Rune Master is made with all of the lessons learned up to this point. So of course it's going to have the polish that maybe the Forge Guard doesn't. But the Forge Guard's getting love and it's coming out here in 1.0. And same thing here with like the Primalist and the Shaman. That's getting a big overhaul here in 1.0 as well. So they respond very well to community feedback. But what I want you to know too is, yeah, the Shaman doesn't feel as good because the Beastmaster and the Druid are so damn strong. And you can have a lot of fun though as a shaman and really kick ass. Same thing here with a Forge Guard. You can do a whirlwind build that you just choose one of these skills that already exists on the Sentinel, use the Forge Guard ability and go with like your manifest armor, and now you're whirlwinding around and armor's popping up all over the place that is an animated set of armor doing damage for you. You have all these really cool abilities that can also morph around, like we've said in the skill and spec section. And I think that that is such a big thing about this game. You're not just simply jumping into a Necromancer that is going to play exactly like you would imagine a Necromancer to play. You can simply jump into different angles of the Necromancer, borrowing from the base class of the Acolyte, or maybe even putting a minor little investment into Lich. You can invest every single skill to a certain point, or maybe jump into the new Mastery Warlock and still be 100% viable. Lich is more of like an actual like damage dealer, like up close and personal melee character, which is really damn cool. You just don't need to feel like you're always playing some weak, down-tuned class amongst the Goliaths. Yes, it's an action RPG. There's always going to be overtuned builds, but even the ones that are not overtuned are going to be able to do echoes and monoliths just fine. And all you need to do is worry about your resistances and the defense stats of the game, because even an overtuned build will fall short if their defense stats are not up to par. And that's what I love about this. It's just very much choose your own adventure. Choose a class that you like the base of, choose a couple mastery that you like, and then go crazy with it. Stick with a specific type of skill or morph it and have it do a bunch of different stuff. It's what I really, really enjoy. One of my biggest struggles with action RPGs is information. Trying to figure out how systems interact with one another, or what stat actually does what. And what I love about Last Epoch is there is nothing but transparency in this game. If I go ahead and bring up my character profile, I have all of the different types of like stat bonuses that I can get. Damage, defense, minion, other, whatever it is all kind of locked right here. Or if I take a look at strength, what does strength really do? Each point of strength increases armor by 4% and improves skills that rely the raw strength of you and your companions. So I can find out exactly what this really does. Okay, well, it's mana regeneration. Points of mana generated per second. Okay, that's how I know. It's 9 points per second versus just some sort of like static figure that tells me really not much of nothing. Or how do the resistances work? Well, it's right here. It's giving me all that info. What does armor really do? It tells me right here. So while I really like that, it's also important to know kind of how this interacts with your skills. So let's go ahead and look at swipe here. A melee attack that hits all enemies in an area in front of you, unaffected by weapon range. Scaling tags, and that's important because this tells me anything that's going to say, hey, this increases your physical damage, your lightning damage, your melee damage, your area damage, your strength, whatever it is. Okay, I know that's going to scale. It's going to scale swipes damage. Well, I can hold down Alt for even more information. Strength scaling. So I now am seeing that I'm getting 112% increased damage, 4% per point, because of the strength scaling with my abilities. And I can do this over here too for my minion. Okay, well, I can see this. Strength scaling, level scaling. Okay, cool. Warcry, awesome. And this extends to items as well. So I take a look at this item, I can hold down Alt. Okay, so what is melee void damage really? Oh, adds void damage to your melee attacks. What is increased minion spell damage? Increase the damage you deal. Okay, well, that's kind of, a lot of those are pretty self-explanatory, damn it. But like some of them are not. And I can even go further here and say, okay, well, that's cool and all, but I can hold down Alt and Control to now see, okay, I've got tier 2, tier 1, tier 5, and tier 1 affixes and suffixes slotted into this. And that's just at a glance gives me all the information I need to know if I want to quickly destroy this thing, what the ranges are for the stuff that is rolled, whatever it is. There's just so much damn information in this game that it can feel overwhelming. And that's why it's kind of like overlaid, right? If I want to approach this casually without all that crap in my head, I can just look at it and go, cool, makes sense. Or if I really want to get sweaty, I do that and I get to really kind of know more about what's going on. I think that is a really huge benefit of this game, is it just allows me to kind of be the type of gamer and player I want to be within its constraints without feeling like I need to be the min-maxer. If you're not using this build over 9K, then you're sucking something. So I like that about this, and it gives you all that transparency that you need if you want it. Now, sort of linked to the Monolith system is the Blessing system. So let's take a look at this Monolith of Fate, the Black Sun, not to be confused by the hit song by Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun. Now, I can see here that I've chosen the Blessing Memory of Light. It's increasing my health. And what this does is it comes back around over to my inventory, and I press blessings, and I can see that it's right here. And this allows me to socket in different blessings to get different benefits that speak to the build, maybe my weaknesses, maybe my strengths, whatever they are. Permanent global modifier. This can be replaced by completing this timeline again. So this makes monoliths in and of themselves very repeatable, because you go and do the monolith again and you swap out a blessing that you've now discovered. Hey, you know what? I just discovered the Wrath of Rye, and maybe this does, I don't know, let's just say 500 bleed damage. I'm making it up. I don't know what it does. Well, that fits my build. So let's go ahead and redo specifically the black hole or black sun. I almost said black hole sun, black sun, and resocket a new blessing in. It allows you to kind of have this ability to kind of jump these blessings around into these individual slots, which is really cool because, like I said, it's going to be build dependent, it's going to be character dependent, but it gives you some reason to redo older content versus just pushing infinitely forward and wondering why you'd ever want to go back. And it's cool too that it all scales with you as you kind of level up and approach and do more stuff with these blessings and what have you. But it's a really cool portion of the game. I've barely even gotten into it, but with the launch of the game, all of our current characters on early access will jump back into like a new season if you want to do that, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But it's a really cool thing to just kind of constantly have cycling with you all of your characters, and it makes approaching that content new and fresh for every character and every build. And on the note of blessings, something kind of similar, kind of parallel to it, but not really, is the idol system. If you're coming from Diablo 2, you know of the charm system. And I think that I'm almost positive, I can't remember, I haven't played Path of Exile in years, but Path of Exile I think has a similar system in that you have passive benefits from an item that is constantly in your inventory. Well, in Path of Exile, it's this own separate inventory that gets unlocked as you do more and more of the campaign. And this little centerpiece will never become unlocked, but you've got these individual idols that will give you benefits, either resistances, damage type, buffs to minions, buffs to specific skills, whatever it is. And you can kind of socket these as you see fit and as it kind of fits what you need. Like, oh, hey, you know, this is going to give me physical resistance and healing effectiveness. Or this is going to give me freeze rate multiplier because I already do something that freezes stuff, but it also increases my melee damage and my minions' melee damage. So you have a lot of fun with these, trying to socket them in to see what makes sense as you kind of hunt as another form of, I guess, end game progression to hunt another item that makes sense for your build. And I really, really like this because it just adds such a fun level of granularity. I don't know why I liked charms in Diablo 2 so much as I was leveling up. I'd hoard them, but this game kind of prevents you from hoarding them because you can only have a limited space until you get to the kind of quote unquote progression point of the end game. So you feel like you kind of naturally socket yourself into more idols, and it's a pretty fun portion of the game as well. So right now I have the ladder system up, and it's worth noting that this game will have a seasonal system like we see in Diablo 3 and 4 and a ladder system in Diablo 2, right? And in Path of Exile, and what we will probably see in Path of Exile 2. But in this game, they're called cycles. And for the first 1 or 2 cycles, all the content that is added to the game is added to both the cycle and the legacy. Legacy is the non-season. But you see here, you've got your typical kind of ranking system for the ladder. You can even see their build, which is pretty cool. But with those cycles, we will get new content added to the game, which may or may not push itself into legacy. It will not be pay gated. You know, there's no battle pass that's going to be associated with it that I know of yet. I haven't seen a bunch of information on it. It's mainly just, do you want to reset your character in the new cycle? If not, you just stay on legacy and play your character as is. No big deal. They're just going to be adding items and or enemies and or monoliths, stuff like that. Like I said, though, the first couple ones will come in both the legacy and the cycle system. So that does exist if you enjoy that about aRPGs. If not, you just stay with your legacy character and keep playing and seeing if stuff kind of kicks back into you at the end of a cycle. One of the best things that Last Epoch has going for it is a really strong loot filter. Now, loot filters, you might be looking at this whole list over here and go, dude, I don't want to learn how to play trigonometry to play this game. But don't worry, I think I got this off of Max Roll. They have got one for every single mastery. You can just go ahead and use that and then reverse engineer it, because learning this is actually pretty easy. There's a golden rule. Rules positioned higher in this list overrule those below them. That's pretty much the golden rule. You follow that and you're pretty much good to go. And I can do a whole video on this, but a ton of people have done really great content on these loot filters already. And almost every other content creator that has a build has one of these loot filters attached to it. But these loot filters allow me to only get items that serve my build and what I'm trying to do. And that's what's important here, right? So what you can see here is these items on the ground. Each one of these in some way is going to benefit my build. And I can hold down X to remove my filter and see all the items on the ground. Because I just popped this chest open. You can see the kind of difference here. It's almost like holding down Alt if I'm playing Diablo, right? But let's go ahead and pick up this one, because I know this one's got some cool stuff on it. So I look at this, okay, this gives me vitality. And if I look at that little item, that little color, that tells me this is an exalted item because it has a tier 6 shard in it, ones you can only get from drops. 19 health regen per second. Cool, I can rip that off and use it as I see fit. You know what though, what's this? Okay, well this is going to give me minion critical strike multiplier and increase minion health. Both of those things benefit my build. Awesome. What about this right here? Okay, cool, this is going to give me armor and reduce bonus damage taken from crit strikes. That's a really huge benefit in the late game when it comes to defensive stats. Or this one right here, okay, cool, this is going to give me minion damage. So this is what I mean by I have items in my backpack right now that are pretty much just geared towards my character. And that's what I like about the loot filter is I'm picking up less junk and I'm spending less time dealing with that junk, which will be the subject of the next portion we go into. But what I like about this is I can have a lot of fun getting just items that I need that are going to directly benefit me, either through shards or through some sort of upgrade to my item, and spend less time kind of having a headache with that because of the loot filter overlapping a bunch of crap. I mean, I can pick this stuff up if I want, and I can disenchant it, but I say disenchant, but it's not really going to benefit me because you know what? I don't have. This is a Sentinel relic, and I'm not going to get a benefit from a Javelin skill increase because I don't have the skill. You know, I'm not doing a bunch of damage over time. This is going to give shred armor on hit, which is fine, but increase area for melee area kit skills. I mean, a lot of these maybe don't help my character directly, so that's why they're not included in my loot filter, and it's a huge boon to you, the player. And with that loot filter, though, we have an inventory that is filled with items. So inventory management in this game is just way better. I can see all my crafting materials right here, all my affix shards, all my glyphs, all my rules, whatever the fuck they're called, support glyphs. Yeah, glyphs and runes. I got that mixed up. Those are the runes, those are glyphs. And I can see that my inventory is kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of weird things. Well, I can press this button, and now I have way more inventory space to pick up this thing, and I can just sort this all. So kind of leaning into that loot filter, and we're going to talk about the stash in just a second here, but it's just so nice to know that everything in here are items that I need. There's a lot of items in my inventory right now, and in the beginning of the game, you're going to constantly be filled with inventory items that you're going to go ahead and sell. But I now know that I can do this. I can kind of stash all these items real quick into like a sorted tab or things to be kind of taken a look at, knowing that everything in my inventory right now is somehow going to benefit my character because of that loot filter, right? I know that, hey, there's something, minion crit strike multiplier. We talked about that earlier, right? Hey, movement speed, health regen, a lot of cool defensive things here. Whatever it is on any of these items that's really going to benefit my character, I know that it's there affix wise. So either I'm going to break it down or put it into my forge to see if it fits onto my character. What I like about this is a lot of times when it comes to aRPGs, especially like Diablo 4 right now, right? You spend so much time managing garbage in your inventory, and you have to quickly go through and go, no, okay, sell all that. You know, you have to spend this game. But now you can just kind of quickly look at it and go, okay, that's going to be broken down. Bring it into here. This goes like that. And let's just take that because I want that vitality shard. Boom, done. Like I'm just on to the next thing quickly and easily. Okay, I'm not really using Summon Scorpion. So you know what? Maybe I just sell this one because you do have a limited amount of runes of shattering. You have to go buy them or find them, whatever it is. So you just have a better time managing your inventory because you know it's directly benefiting your character affix shard wise or item replacement wise. And I think that is one of my favorite things about the inventory management in this game. It's just kind of a direct improvement on your character versus like sell that, whatever. And the stash is another really big thing for Last Epoch. It is probably one of my favorite stashes in any of the action RPGs out there. And mine is pretty crap. I don't have a very well set up one, but we're going to go through it nonetheless. So you can add these categories to the top. Then you can add these individual subcategories or the actual stash tabs below them. Adding categories is free. Adding a stash tab costs 50K. And that's fine. Like I said before, you're going to have tons of money that you're pretty much only going to use it on stash tabs. And you can right click on a stash tab to configure it. So like this, I can say, oh, I want the color different. I want a tab icon here. I want a specific type of category set up for it, whatever it is. So, okay, I want this idols one to be for the general category. Maybe I want to switch it over to Exalted or whatever category number 4 is. However, I want to set this up. So for example, here you can see my general to be sorted. I just drop things in here when I'm on the fly, when I'm doing a bunch of monoliths, and a bunch of echoes and completing a monolith. Then once I'm done and I have a little time in town, I can go to unique and sets, and then I've broken all of the unique items I've got from their level in 15 level increments. So, okay, hey, this thing is a level 15 item, but I've got maybe an alt that's level 46. Well, cool, I have these items here. Did any of them benefit the build of the character that I'm playing? And I can have fun just kind of having this level of organization in my set items right here as well, and kind of just playing with this and having fun with this and just kind of setting this up however I see fit. Or my exalted items, which are, I didn't mean to do that, which are all these items that have these level 6 tier 6 shards in them, right? Oh, you know what? I want that tier 6 increased melee damage, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold on to it until there's something specifically I want to put it on. Whatever the situation is, you can see you have all this fun granularity in the stash tabs and in the stash categories to create customization or organization how you want. Now, as kind of an honorable mention, I want to talk very, very quickly about the story. I want you to go experience it. You can click through it if you want and just jump through the game and have no big deal. You know, the story is not crucial. But if you are in any way a fan of old school Square Enix RPGs and you played Chrono Trigger growing up, you're basically playing Chrono Trigger. The hub for the games, the end game is called the End of Time. Like there's so many call outs and references to the game. Like one of the characters even looks like, what's his name? Magnos or whatever, the big old thing you fight at the end. The only thing it's missing is like a blue skinned elf, which is like the prototype for Sephiroth and Frog. Like it's the only thing you're really missing in this game. So I just wanted to give a quick honorable mention for it because it is a cool portion of this, because Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite RPGs. I definitely think that there are bigger and better and more cinematic and crazier stories out there in the aRPG genre. But for me, this kind of tickled a little bit of those nostalgia heartstrings, and I wanted to kind of quickly give it a little mention. But outside of that, it brings this video here to a close. And I know we've covered a lot of different subjects, and I didn't go into a lot of detail on all those subjects. Like we didn't really talk about how stability works in the monoliths and how you lose stability if you die and you have to go and regain that stability. And if you die, then you lose the special item at the end. It's all these things, the special chest at that individual echo. But the game has a lot of really fun complexity that is actually extremely accessible. I think when you take a look at the game on paper or when you're watching videos and stuff like that, it can feel overwhelming, but you are not dropped into the deep end, just like you aren't in any other game, right? You have a slow progression into it, you complete the campaign, and then you're off to the races with the monolith, and they kind of trickle you into that system as it is. So if you're looking for an aRPG or you're just looking for a new game to jump into here at the beginning of the year, Last Epoch is definitely it. It's gonna consume a ton of your time, and the way that the development team is and how transparent they are and how much they talk to the community, expect a lot of things that are going to improve upon this game that are strong. This game's been in early access for 5 years. It looked entirely different when it came out in 2019. And it's got a facelift, it looks different, it plays different, and it's reacted so well to community feedback because the developers play and love this game. And I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways from this video is you're playing a game that the dev team's actually like 100% invested in versus, you know, trying to hit like a specific sales goal or whatever it is, which I'm sure they're probably still trying to do. It is a business. But I'm excited for you to try this game out. I'm excited to cover the game. I'll have tons of videos coming out as far as guides and what have you, builds and so on and so forth. But I will be also streaming this on my Twitch. You can find linked in the description below. It's just simply Italian Spartacus on Twitch. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. And if there's anything I forgot to bring up that you really love about the game, that you're like, hey, dude, this was like a big driving point for me to get into it, let it be known in the comment section below. Let people know about what you're excited about this game for. Or if you're hesitant ask me, say, hey, I'm a little hesitant. The game doesn't seem very polished on this or that. Or is there a summoner class? Yeah, there is. The necromancer can have like 15 goddamn minions, can have a mage, an archer, a warrior. It's so fun. There's so much diversity in this game, and I really love it. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.